All right, let's talk about A-level politics paper 1. Does it ever feel like this unbreakable code? Well, if it does, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to turn all that exam stress into a crystal clear winning strategy.
You're not alone if you find this section a bit of a mystery. Seriously, with its mix of source questions and essay questions, it can feel kind of unpredictable. But I promise you, it really doesn't have to be.
So here's the thing. We need a totally new mindset. Let's stop thinking of this as just a test and start seeing it for what it is, a game. A game with rules, a game with a strategy, and a game you can absolutely win.
And here is our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics. How do you even score points? Then we'll break down the two types of questions as two totally different games. After that, we'll stock up your winning toolkit, and we'll finish with the single most important habit you need to build.
Okay, first things first. Before you can play any game, you've got to know how to score, right? Well, every single question you answer is marked on 3 core skills. You might have heard of them. They're called assessment objectives, or AOs for short. So the first way you get points is through AO1. Think of this as simply the facts. This is your knowledge. It's the specific examples, the accurate details, and using all that correct political jargon that shows you know your stuff. This is your foundation. But just having the facts isn't enough, is it? That's where AO2 comes in. This is all about the argument. This is you taking those facts and actually using them to build logical connections, to analyze different points of view, and to really dig into the similarities and differences. And the third piece of the puzzle, the one that really brings it all home, is AO3, the verdict. This is the top-tier skill. It's where you step back, weigh up all the arguments you've made, and deliver a final, justified judgment on which side is stronger, and crucially, why. Now, this is absolutely crucial, so listen up. Each question is worth 30 marks, and look at how that's broken down. 10 for your facts, 10 for your argument, and 10 for your verdict. They are equally important. If you neglect any one of them, you're basically putting a ceiling on your mark at 20 out of 30 before you've even started. Okay, so now that we know how to score, let's get into the first game you're going to play. For the source-based question, I want you to think of your role as the mediator. And hey, this isn't just my idea. This comes straight from the people who mark your papers. Examiners have said that the absolute best candidates are the ones who don't just read the source. They see it as a debate and they skillfully mediate it. So what does that actually mean? Well, think of yourself as a referee. Your job is to first map out the debate, find the for and against points right there in the text. Then you bring in your own knowledge to add some context. And the key is to constantly weave those two sides together, comparing them in every paragraph before you finally judge which side's argument in the source is more convincing. And how do you actually build a paragraph like that? Well, the Peel method is your best friend here. Your point is where you identify a theme of conflict in the source. Your evidence is where you quote both sides of that debate. Your explanation is where you bring in your own knowledge to expand on it. And your link is where you make a mini judgment right then and there about which view from the source is stronger. So you see how that works? As the mediator, you're analyzing a debate that's handed to you. But for the next question, you're going to have to switch hats completely. You're no longer analyzing someone else's argument. You're building your very own from the ground up. Which brings us to game 2, the architect. This is all about mastering that non-source essay question. Here, you stop being a mediator and you become the one in charge of the whole project. And once again, we've got a massive clue from the examiners. They see the best essays feel like a structured hierarchy where the student isn't just listing different factors, but is actively ranking their importance. This is where you call the shots. As the architect, you select your themes, your core building blocks. You then build these really tight, logical chains of argument showing cause and effect. You use super precise evidence like stats or recent election data as your raw materials. And the whole time you're sustaining your judgment, constantly arguing how important each factor is. And guess what? That trusty Peel method, it's your blueprint here as well, just with a little twist. The point is now your argument about a factor's importance. The evidence comes entirely from your own brain, not a source. And the link becomes a mini judgment about how significant that one factor is in your overall argument. All right, we've got the strategy for game 1 and game 2. Now let's make sure your toolkit is fully stocked with the essentials, and maybe more importantly, let's look at the common pitfalls you absolutely need to avoid.
Want a simple hack to sound like you really know your stuff? Use the right language. It's an instant level up. Dropping in terms like partisan de-alignment or differential turnout isn't about showing off. It's about showing the examiner you have a deep, precise understanding of what you're talking about. It's a massive win for your AO1 score.
Okay, let's talk about the traps. These are the common mistakes that so many students fall into, but not you, not after this. They ignore the source, they just describe things instead of analyzing, or they give a totally one-sided argument. What the examiners want is for you to mediate, to build logical arguments, to have a balanced debate, and to use specific, up-to-date evidence. If you can just avoid these pitfalls, you are already way ahead of the game.
And now for what might be the most important part of this whole explainer. It's a habit that takes just 3 minutes, but it is an absolute game changer. It can be the difference between a pretty good answer and a truly brilliant one. I'm serious, you have to do this. This is your non-negotiable pre-game warm-up. In the first 30 seconds, you just break down what the question is really asking you. For the next 2 minutes, you either quickly map out the debate in the source, or you pick your 3 themes for your essay. And in those final 30 seconds, you decide what your overall argument, your final judgment is going to be. This plan is your compass. It makes sure every single word you write is on point and earning you marks. So there you have it. The code is cracked. A-Level Politics Paper 1 isn't just a test of what you can remember. It's a game of strategy, a game of how well you can apply the rules. With this approach, you're not just answering questions anymore. You're playing to win. You have the game plan. The only question is, are you ready to play?